Trump's board of peace is no UN, but an aberration. Britain's Starmer seeks fresh start with China, economic wins. Time is running out. Nothing normal in dealing with US-Canada PM. Trump-Schumer move towards deal to avert US government shutdown, NYT says. A proposal by US President Donald Trump to create a board of peace, initially focused on Gaza but with global ambitions, is raising major questions about the future of international diplomacy and the role of the United Nations. Analysts say the initiative reflects long-standing US frustration with the UN system rather than a purely new peace effort. While the United States is the UN's largest financial contributor and wields significant influence across its agencies, its power is constrained in the UN Security Council, where vetoes by China and Russia have repeatedly blocked US-backed initiatives. That limitation has often led Washington to bypass the UN altogether through unilateral sanctions or military action. The proposed Board of Peace appears to go a step further, seeking to establish a parallel international structure outside the UN framework. Plans linked to the proposal reportedly include an international stabilization force, echoing earlier US-led ideas such as the failed League of Democracies. Unlike previous efforts, Trump has framed the proposal in broad and symbolic terms, using a name and visual identity that resemble those of the United Nations. Observers say this may be an attempt to borrow the legitimacy of existing institutions while challenging their authority. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer has told Chinese President Xi Jinping that he wants to build a sophisticated relationship with China to support economic growth and security, signaling a potential thaw in ties after years of strained relations. The two leaders met on Thursday at Beijing's Great Hall of the People, the key moment of Starmer's four-day visit to China. It is the first visit by a British Prime Minister in 8 years. Starmer has made improving relations with the world's second-largest economy a priority, as his Labour government seeks to deliver economic growth, despite ongoing concerns over espionage and human rights. Speaking at the start of the meeting, Starmer said China plays a vital role globally and that Britain wants to work together where possible, while maintaining open dialogue on areas of disagreement. President Xi said relations between the two countries had experienced twists and turns that benefited neither side, and said China was willing to build a long-term strategic partnership with the UK. Starmer's visit comes amid increased diplomatic engagement between Western nations and China, as countries seek to manage growing uncertainty in relations with the United States under President Donald Trump. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney has told Parliament that there is nothing normal about dealing with the United States under President Donald Trump, as he came under scrutiny over his handling of bilateral relations. Carney returned to Ottawa after delivering a widely praised speech at the World Economic Forum, where he warned that the US-led rules-based international order is facing a serious rupture. He also cautioned that middle-sized powers should not assume compliance will protect them from pressure by major powers. The speech drew rare praise across party lines. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre described it as well-crafted, while Bloc Québécois leader Yves-François Blanchet called it reassuring and promising. However, as Parliament opened a new session on Tuesday, Blanchet challenged Carney's approach to relations with Washington. He said speeches alone do not create or protect jobs and pointed to the lack of progress in easing US sectoral tariffs that continue to hurt key parts of Canada's economy. Blanchet questioned whether negotiations with the United States can still be described as normal or cordial, highlighting ongoing tensions in the relationship. US President Donald Trump and Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer are moving toward an agreement to negotiate new restrictions on federal immigration agents, a step that could help avert a partial government shutdown this weekend, according to a report by the New York Times. The newspaper said discussions late Wednesday focused on separating funding for the Department of Homeland Security from a broader package of spending bills needed to keep the government operating through the rest of the fiscal year. Reuters was not able to independently verify the report, and neither the White House nor Senator Schumer's office commented immediately. The development follows calls by Senate Democrats earlier on Wednesday for tighter limits on the actions of immigration agents, setting up a standoff with the Trump administration. Without an agreement, large parts of the U.S. government could shut down early Saturday. Lawmakers are racing to reach a deal as funding deadlines approach, with immigration policy emerging as the central point of contention.